Welcome, friends, to another great week of This or That Bible Storytelling. During this story, you get to pick what you think the answer is. Our Bible story today is about the time Paul is shipwrecked. Paul and his friends continued traveling all over the world, telling people about Jesus. And because of that, God's church grew bigger and bigger. Great news, right? It is. But not everyone was happy about it. Many of the Jewish leaders didn't believe that Jesus was the Son of God, and they wanted to do everything possible to stop the church from growing. So what do you think happens next? The Jewish leaders warned Paul not to talk about Jesus. Or that, the Jewish leaders had Paul arrested. The correct answer is that. The Jewish leaders had Paul arrested. They accused him of being a troublemaker and demanded that Paul be put to death. It wasn't true. Paul hadn't done anything wrong, and he wanted to prove it. So Paul demanded his right to be put on trial in front of Caesar, the Roman emperor. There was just one problem. Caesar was a long way away in the city of Rome. So what do you think happened next? Paul was put on a ship and sailed to Rome. Or that, Paul was chained to a chariot and forced to walk to Rome. The correct answer is this. Paul was put on a ship with some other prisoners and sailed to Rome. As the ship was sailing, a huge storm blew in. The winds were as strong as a hurricane. Day after day, wave after wave crashed into the boat and began tearing it apart. The sailors had never seen a storm like this. Paul could tell that they were scared to death, so he stood in front of them and said something. What do you think Paul said? We must run the ship onto the beach of some island? Or that, we must turn the ship around and sail for home? This is the correct answer. In Acts chapters 27, verses 23 through 26 reads, Paul says, I belong to God and serve him. Last night his angel stood beside me. The angel said, do not be afraid, Paul. You must go on trial in front of Caesar. God has shown his grace by sparing the lives of all those sailing with you. Men continue to be brave. I have faith in God. It will happen, just as he told me. But we must run the ship onto the beach of some island. Paul had told the sailors what the angel had told him from God. But the sailors had a different idea, though. They wanted to get off the ship as fast as possible before it broke up and sank. So they pretended like they were going to lower the anchors, but instead they quietly lowered the lifeboat into the water so they could sneak into it and row for shore. But Paul saw what they were doing and told the soldiers about it. What do you think's going to happen next? The soldiers killed the sailors for trying to leave the ship. Or that, the soldiers cut the lifeboat loose and let it float away. That is the correct answer. If the sailors were all gone, the ship would have surely sunk and everyone on it would have died. So the soldiers cut the lifeboat loose and let it float away empty. When the morning came, they saw an island with a sandy beach, so they decided to do what Paul had said and run the ship onto the beach. But before they could get there, the ship hit the sandy bottom of the sea and got stuck. Huge waves pounded the back of the ship and broke it into pieces. So what do you think happens next? The soldiers plan to kill Paul and the other prisoners. Or that, the soldiers abandoned the ship and left the prisoners to die. The correct answer is this. The soldiers had planned to kill Paul and the other prisoners to keep them from swimming away and escaping. But the commander had become friends to Paul and wanted to save his life. So he stopped the soldiers from carrying out their plan. The commander ordered everyone who could swim to jump into the water first and swim to the land. Then he told everyone who could not swim to jump into the water and grab hold of the broken pieces of the ship. That's how everyone reached the island safely. Just like God had promised, not a single person on the ship died. Just like Paul was having a bad day, sometimes we all have bad days. But just remember what 2 Corinthians 12:9 says.
But he said to me, my grace is all you need. My power is strongest when you are weak. So I am very happy to brag about how weak I am. The Christ's power rests on me.